Alright, Trekkers and Trekkers, time for the third episode review of the day with We'll Always Have Paris. The Enterprise, along with other ships of the sector, experienced a localized time distortion, soon after received a distress call from Dr. Paul Mannheim in a nearby system. Captain Picard recalls that Mannheim was ejected from the Federation Science Institute for conducting unauthorized experiments. They find the distress signal coming from a facility on a planetoid surrounded by a force field. When they make contact with the facility, a woman requests help to save her husband, Dr. Mannheim, and lowers the shields. The two are brought aboard, and while Dr. Crusher tends to Dr. Mannheim, who is having convulsions, Picard discovers his wife is Janice, Picard's former love. Janice warns that her husband was working privately in his laboratory, but that she didn't know what he was working on. She also alerts the crew to numerous security protocols that he has installed at the facilities. As the crew prepares to send an away team to investigate the laboratory, they experience more time distortions, described by Data as Mannheim effects. In one instance, Picard, Riker, and Data enter a turbolift only to see their past selves conversing outside of the lift. The crew find that they cannot complete a transporter beam to the facility. The crew find they cannot complete a transporter beam to the facility due to the security measures in place there. Dr. Mannheim recovers long enough to explain that he was doing experiments involving time, gravity, and funnels to other universes, and suspects his last experiment is running out of control. Mannheim explains that he is trapped between two dimensions, and Data determines that the experiment must be shut down during a time fluctuation, or else it will simply grow larger. Mannheim provides the crew with the correct coordinates to beam down to avoid the security fields. Picard admits to Janice that he worried about losing her again after he left her in Paris, and vows to correct Dr. Mannheim's experiment. As he is less affected by the distortions, Data is sent down alone and disables the remaining security measures before entering Mannheim's laboratory. He finds a column of energy emanating from a dimensional matrix, the source of the time distortions. Data, though briefly affected by the time distortions, is able to add antimatter to the matrix, causing the matrix to stabilize and halt the time distortions. Whew! Dr. Mannheim fully recovers, and he and Janice thank Picard and the crew for their help. Picard and Janice use the holodeck to create one more encounter at a Paris cafe before she returns with her husband to the planet. Aww. It's so cute. Anyway, let's look at some production elements here. We'll Always Have Paris is named in reference to the Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman film Casablanca, as well as the title of the episode and love triangle in the story. The Blue Parrot Cafe from the film is directly mentioned by Captain Picard. Casablanca was also the basis for the earlier Star Trek, the original series novel The Entropy Effect, and will be so again in the Deep Space Nine episode Profit and Loss. The story was originally pitched by Hannah Louise Shearer and Deborah Dean Davis, who were also given the job of developing the script. The writing of the episode suffered from the timing of the 1988 Writers Guild of America strike, with Shearer and Dean Davis completing the script in 5 days. The premise of the story was a combination of their own idea of a story, quote, about a professor whose work wasn't appreciated and had to go off on his own, and then Maurice Hurley, who wanted a story with a time anomaly. The final draft was dated February 2nd and featured numerous differences from the film version, including Janice being called Laura, a number of different interactions for the crew, and Riker, Worf, and Data all being involved in shutting down Mannheim's experiment. The script was finalized a week before the episode was filmed, but the writer's strike caused further issues when it was discovered during filming that the scene where Data was to fix the time distortions hadn't been completed. Robert Legato and Rick Berman spent 40 minutes on the telephone with Shearer during the strike. While she refused to write the lines during the strike, Berman suggested dialogue and Shearer would give opinions with Legato taking down handwritten notes. Legato decided on the directing notes himself, and used a whip hand shot instead of an effects shot to film the 3 datas, as director Robert Becker had never used effects shots previously. Shearer wasn't happy with the final result, saying, quote, "We were writing the most romantic episode in the world, but that it was toned down 75%. Oof." Shearer later complained of lack of chemistry between Michelle Phillips and Patrick Stewart. which Phillips blamed on the conflicted nature of the character and that she was committed to her husband, but also wanted to see Picard once more. Phillips, a Star Trek fan, is better known for being a member of the 1960s group The Mamas and the Papas. Rod Loomis's previous science fiction outing was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as Sigmund Freud, and then Spillerberg would later return in The Icarus Factor, where his transporter chief gained the name Ensign Herbert. The image of 21st century Paris was a matte painting which was reused in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, where it was hung outside the office of the Federation President. Nice. So overall, I say this episode was okay at best, but not bad. So overall, I give We'll Always Have Paris 3 warp cores out of 5. Well, join me soon as we take a look at Conspiracy. So, until then, live long and prosper, everybody.